Hello everyone, and welcome to Bath Garden Center. Today we are going to talk about composting and giving you all the tips that you can start your own compost pile. Composting is much easier than it may seem. Composting is just a decomposition of organic materials. So compost piles are different from just your average trash piles. So we want to be conscious about what we're putting in these piles so that you can create a fertile compost that's going to help your soils while you are gardening. Our Colorado soil is very dense, very clay heavy, and compost is going to help aerate the soil, give it nutrients, help it drain better, and also help it hold moisture better for thriving plants. Compost piles can be started in repurposed trash cans, even small storage bins, or you can dig a hole in your garden specifically for your compost, or you can even start them outside by just picking a spot in your yard and just starting it right on the ground, very similar to lasagna gardening. So when you're starting a compost pile, you will want to contain it. So make sure if you are starting on the ground, putting some chicken wire around your compost pile, or at least building a space around it so that it's safe from pests or any animals that might be roaming through your yard, or if you have kiddos in your yard as well. We want to keep all of your compost pile contained. So what are compost piles made of? They are going to be made of organic materials, and we like to call them our greens and our browns. Let's talk about our greens. These green materials are going to be rich in nitrogen, which is going to help increase decomposition and moisture within your compost pile. So these are types of things like kitchen scraps that are going to be like your banana peels, onion peels, apple cores. A lot of produce can definitely be put into your compost pile. So your greens are very important to encourage decomposition in your compost pile. The browns in your compost pile are going to help provide carbon to the compost pile and substance. So it's going to increase airflow as well, and the types of things you can put in your compost pile is going to be like newspapers, old paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, cardboard. All of these materials can break down, and they're going to add that airflow and substance to your compost pile. Finding the right balance for your compost pile is going to be a key thing to making this compost pile effective. So your ratio that you're looking for is about 1/3 greens and 2/3 of the browns. This is going to help it decompose effectively. So if you notice that your compost pile isn't breaking down quick enough, you might need to add some more greens. Or if you're noticing that your compost pile is a little too wet and it's starting to get moldy, or if it's too moist, you might need to add some more browns. So the ratio is going to really be important to help it decompose effectively. So what are some things you should not put in your compost pile? We don't want things like meat scraps or dairy, no grease or oil. These things are not going to add good bacteria to the compost pile, and they are also not going to break down effectively. No styrofoam, or even like plant materials that are weeds. You don't want to add any weeds into your compost pile, because then you're just going to start growing weeds in your compost pile. So check out our blog for an extensive list of things that you should not be putting in your pile. Certain bugs are also beneficial in helping to break down your compost. So we provide earthworms here at Bath, and these little guys are going to add aeration to your compost and help break down those organic materials better. Maintaining your compost pile is as easy as making sure you're giving it a stir and feeding it with more greens and browns and keeping it covered. This is going to help keep out all the extra pests and keep in moisture in your compost pile. And how do we know when we can use our compost? Those brown materials in your compost pile, you'll want to look for them to be broken down completely to a soil consistency, and they'll be nice and rich and dark. Your compost pile will have been turned so many times at this point that it breaks down into a nice soily texture, and then it's ready to use. Check out our blog if you are interested in learning more about composting or even lasagna gardening. We have a bunch of great information in there, and we thank you for watching. Have a great day. Into your compost piles. Can we redo that? The types of things that you can put in your compost pile are going, this is going to help it compost. No, isn't, why is that word so hard?
That is plantish.
Anything that is plantish and needs nutrients. Yes.